which we should not allow ourselves to fall victim to. We allow that soul, that nafs, the soul that's prone to evil to overtake us and allow us to just fall victim to it. And just we feel that whatever is evil is so sweet and so juicy that I have to go towards it. But yet things that are good are so bitter and don't appeal to my eyes. But this thing that's so wrong, in which the shaitan is making so fair seeming to me, I have to go towards it because it's just so beautiful to my eyes and so sweet. This is what happens, right? When you ask somebody about the sin, they said the sin is sweet. A'udhu billahi. Because the shaitan make it this way. So you could constantly fall victim and constantly go towards the hellfire. Because the shaitan, he does not want you to go to paradise. And every time you worship Allah and you glorify Allah, he hates this. Because he is trying to make a point. When he said, I'm going to be on the Sirat, and I'm going to wait for them. I'm going to wait for them. And I'm going to try to get them off of this path. He said, I'm going to try to get them off this path. He didn't say I was going to help them get on this path. No, I'm going to help them get off this path and take them away from Allah and bring them towards places. And I'm going to make promises to them, promises in which I cannot fulfill. But yet to them, they think I'm able to fulfill them because I've made it seem that I have all the strength in the world. To them, this is what the shaitan, right? This is what he do. You know, the things about with the shaitan, and we always say, okay, the shaitan, he's going to come. We always affected. He's going to come. He's going to take everything. He's going to come. He's a little red devil with the, what you call that, pitchfork. He's going to get us. You know, sometimes the shaitan can even be me or you. When we look at shaitan, we have to look at the word. And they said the word comes from shatana, which means to be far. To be far. So they said that anyone who has that trait of the shaitan that goes off, that is shaitan. It's shaitan. Because sometimes you can see shaitan in a person because of the characteristics of that. The evilness, the despite, the hate. All these things. Say, oh, that is the shaitan. When we look at hadiths about stuff, right? Whenever the whole old hadiths, they try to explain something that is bad, they will say that is the shaitan that's in it. Don't do it because it's the shaitan. The shaitan is in it. Because to them, it was explaining to them that the worst thing or that can happen is that the shaitan is in it, so you should stay away from it. It's bad. This is how you explain that it's bad. When you say the shaitan is in it. It is not good. It is evil. You know, when we look at, you know, different things, when it comes down to the shaitan, he is not going to make things look good to you. He's going to try to, how can I say, put doubt inside of your heart. He's going to make you doubt things. Well, Allah is surety with the shaitan is doubt. He's going to make things doubt. Going to make you doubt. Sometimes when you want to do something good, they put the doubt within your heart to avoid you from doing it. You know, a lot of us have this same situation. None of us are aloof from this type of thing. When we are about to do something good, something come in our mind and just stops us. This is shaitan. Especially when it comes down to giving, right? Oh, Shaykh, here you go. I'm talking about giving, right? They said one time, there was this famine in this area, and the scholar was at the pulpit, at the minbar, and he was talking about every time a person wants to give sadaqah, 70,000 shaitans come and stop his hand from doing it. That's what he said, 70,000. That's a lot of shaitans, right? They stop him from doing it. So they said it was a brother that was there, and he was sitting maybe at his foot or maybe a little further. He said, what the shaitan have to do with me giving sadaqah? This is what he said. What does shaitan have to do with me giving tzedakah? You know what? I have some wheat at home. I'm going to go home. I'm going to get that wheat, and I'm going to come back, and I'm going to give it away. Because the shaitan cannot stop me from giving tzedakah or giving charity. Right? Now, as he go home, he go and he reach for that bag of wheat. As soon as he reached for that bag of wheat, his wife came to him and said, "What are you doing? You know that is a famine. You're trying to kill me and your children. What if the famine start going on for longer than it's supposed to go? What will we do? We will die. You cannot give this." He heard it so much, it was so opposed that he left the house and went back to the masjid. His friend looked at him. He said, "So where is the wheat?" He looked. He said, "Oh, the 70,000 shaitans stopped you from giving the wheat." We see this as an example with us. That every time we try to do something good, something want to stop us from doing it. Instead of going forth and doing it, we get that doubt. We get that doubt from the shaitan. He put doubt in our hearts so we do not do good. Shaitan, he don't want us to do good. He don't want us to excel. No, not at all. You see it all the time. When things happen. All the time. The shaitan, he comes at us even with our salat. He comes with us all the time. But you said, wait a minute, hold on for a minute. What do you mean he come at us with our salat? He's constantly coming at us. And constantly coming at us. This reminds me of a story. This story is so have you thinking. They say it was one time there was this religious man. And the shaitan tried his best to allure him away from being religious. So they said that the shaitan, he went back to wherever the shaitan and shaitans be. I guess they like have a lair, maybe in some mountain or something. They go there and they converse. They said that he confided to people, the shaitans in which he was with, on trying to allure this person away from Allah. They said, "Why don't you get him with food?" He said, "No, I tried. He eats very modestly. I cannot get this person with food." He modest, because he wasn't able to get him that way. He said, "Then why don't you try to get him with the women?" He said, "No, he abstinent. He don't go that way." They said at this moment, the shaitan said, "Aha, I will get him with his prayer." So in the story, they said that the shaitan grabs his prayer rug, right? These are beautiful stories, right? He grabs and goes to the place and where that man resides, where he's at. But listen what the shaitan did. The place where the man usually is, the shaitan got on a prayer rug, and when the man saw him praying, the shaitan was floating in the air. He said he was floating. So as a believer, if you see someone on a musalla, first you'll say either he's a genie or something special about it, right? They said the man, he started reaching out and wondering, excuse me, how did you get to this level? Because as a believer, you want to reach high levels. I don't know about floating, but you want to reach a high level. So what the shaitan did, he played like he didn't hear him. You know, he was praying, and like he had deep concentration. You know how people act. Like they can't hear anything. Like when you play sleep or something, you hear everything, but everybody says, "Oh, he must be in deep sleep." They said this is what the shaitan basically was doing. He was playing like he was in deep prayer. So after some time, the shaitan came down, and the man he said, "How did you get to this certain state? How did you get like this?" Now, you wouldn't believe what the shaitan said now. He said, "I got this way by fornication." The man said, "What? How can this happen?" He said, "I don't know where to do this." What? The shaitan said, "Don't worry. Take this money and go into this town and see this person. Now you see this now, right? You see how when it comes down to wrong and you don't know where the wrong is, somehow you can find the wrong. Because that's the shaitan taking you away from Allah. So they said this man, he went towards that town and he asked, where is Falan Falan, this lady? And they didn't think about it because he was a religious man. Said, this person is here. So he went to the lady and he told her, she said, no. You go back to that place, and if that person is still there, then I will do whatever you want. So when he went back, he noticed that that person wasn't there. Then he realized that it was the shaitan. SubhanAllah. But how many times that we didn't realize that until the sin is over, that it was the shaitan that was alluring us into these traps? Because we wasn't conscious of him, because we don't know who he is, which is our arch enemy, and which Allah says he is. Right? We never really thought about that. We never look at it like that. We see that the shaitan, with these doubts that he come up with us, he want us to do certain things in which we know that's not correct. We see he'll come at us and say, he will put in our heart, oh, if you think Allah will save you, why don't you do certain things? Allah will forgive you, right? He will help you. He tried to like sneak attack you. He tried to do this with Prophet Isa alayhi salam. They said one time Prophet Isa was on a cliff. He went to Prophet Isa. He said to him, well, if you was to jump off of this cliff, will Allah save you? He said, yes, Allah will save me. He said, so why don't you jump? He's like, no, because you're trying to get me to test the law. You see this? This is shaitan. He tried to allure you. Now we know that if you jump off the cliff, you committed suicide, which is haram. Now, if you had even how can I say it, went into even suggest or thinking about it, then you're trying to test the law. You know, he's trying to do all these things to try to make you commit multiple sins. This is the shaitan. This is the shaitan. Because out of all people of creation, they fall into three categories. And one of these three are the people that's constantly being taunted by the shaitan. We see that in the categories of people, we have some people that are very religious, that the shaitan cannot affect. He cannot get to them. These are the prophets and the imams. The shaitan can affect them. But then, the shaitan have these other people that is the second type of group of people, that he can get his way with these people. But eventually they come to their senses and then they shoo off his plan. But this third one is the majority of us. This group right here is the majority of us. Because everywhere you look, you see this group right here. He said this group is the ones that the shaitan is inside their heart and he do whatever he please with them. You look around, you see it all over. This is the majority of the society here. That the shaitan is able to do whatever they want with, do whatever he wants with them. We do not want to be that one. No. No. This is not a good one at all. This is because the people are living with their eyes closed. The shaitan has deceived the people. He had made a blindfold upon their eyes and make all that is wrong sweet and nice to them. So when someone like us Muslims, when we don't do certain haram things, they say, why you don't do it? It don't make sense to me. Everyone do it. No, not everyone do it because I don't do it. Right? If everyone does it, then I will do it. The shaitan is trying to come at us in all types of ways. We have to be resilient to shoo him off. Because even the shaitan on the earth shoos off the shaitan that try to make us go away. He said, wait a minute, what you mean about the shaitan on the earth? Shooing away the shaitan that's trying to get us all. And when I said that, we find that even an evil, deceiving person knows the deception of the shaitan. But yet a faithful believer are always, how can I say it, unaware of it. What I mean about this deceiving person, I'm talking about Muawiyah ibn Abi Sufyan. And I said this story because he's an evil person. There's no doubt about it. I can't get around that. But this story I had to say because it means something about this discussion. They said that one time he was inside of his castle, whatever you want to call where he lived. And he heard something, a noise. And he woke up and he said, what is that noise? And the person came from behind the curtain. He said, who are you? He said, I am the shaitan. He said, what are you doing here? He said, I came to wake you up for prayer. The shaitan came make Muawiyah up for prayer, right? Ain't that something, right? For one, you could tell he really wasn't a believer because he would have probably been up for prayer anyway. So he said, but you are the shaitan. He said, yeah, but I was concerned that you would oversleep and miss prayer. He said, Muawiyah said, this is like having a thief watch your house. The shaitan is trying to wake me up for prayer. He said, why would you try to wake me up for prayer when you are the shaitan? The shaitan said that if you had a missed prayer in a sigh in which you would have got or done would have been so harmful to me that maybe Allah would have gave you some grace and it would have hurt me. You know, like you said, oh man, I missed prayer. That. So for me to prevent you from having that sigh and getting mercy from Allah, I want you to go and offer your prayer. Ain't that something? You want him to go and offer his prayer so he don't get the mercy from Allah. Because even he don't want us to have that. Because if we miss a prayer or we late for prayer, we so upset. Especially a prayer like Fajr. It ruins our whole day. So we sigh. Like, the shaitan didn't even want him to have the mercy from Allah for even saying that. So he came to wake him up for his prayer. Listen, you believe that? The shaitan, right? It was the craziest story ever. But this is something to this. It's subliminal. How everything in which takes us towards Allah and bring us closer to Allah and make us better Muslims, make us better believers, make us better people, that all the above, the shaitan is against that. He is our enemy. There's no doubt about it. He is our enemy. He is out to get us. And the problem is that we live in a society where the shaitan is all over the place. Everywhere you look, you see the shaitan. There's no way of getting around it, or is it? It is. When you know who your enemy is, you can avoid this enemy. You will hear people saying, I was amongst the people for 50 years, but yet I was not amongst them. I was too busy glorifying Allah. Would it be these type of people, right? These are the people that know who their enemy are. They know who the shaitan when he comes towards them and trying to lure them away. The problem is, we have to know who he is. We have to know that when we looking at, how can I say, it was a commercial I saw some years ago. It was in Arabia, and it was about a soccer game. And the soccer game was, you know how we give soccer, people give a soccer. He's looking at it, and then all of a sudden that dawn went off. He said, man, soccer game is on. So he got up, he prayed real fast. When he went back to pray, he jumped up in the sky, folded his legs in the Indian position, and fell right back exactly where he was sitting. The shaitan like that type of thing. He don't like the person that will turn the television off, because he didn't turn the television off. Turn the television off. Go and make wudu. Pray. Make dhikr. Make dua. Do ziyarat. Do sajda shuk. Cry to Allah and all types of things. Ask for forgiveness. No, he likes the person that is heedless of your obligations towards Allah. He loved that person. He want this person to go and tell everybody to be heedless of Allah. He loved that person. He helps that person. But the person in which goes out and said, no, we must not be heedless of Allah. We have to go and be closer to Allah. We must combat and fight the shaitan. He do not like that person. Because the shaitan definitely have an army himself. And his army is not people we cannot see. His army is sometimes people we can see with our own eyes. These are the people that's trying to take us away from good. Right? We know who they are. Oh, man, come on, for real. Why you want to take time out and offer the salat? No. You got time, Allah will forgive you. Don't worry about it. Look, I know this is alcohol. Don't worry about it. Take a sip. Allah will forgive you. That girl, come on. Come on. Everybody's doing it. These are the people that are the shaitan helpers. And what happened, if you allow them to allure you away from Allah's truth, then you will constantly be falling. And constantly be falling and constantly be falling. And then you be at the point that then the shaitan will put doubt inside of your mind and say, I cannot come back to the masjid. I am too far gone. But all actuality, that's the doubt in which the shaitan put in your mind, thinking that you have to be at the best of best to come back to the masjid. This is what you hear. Oh, I'm trying to prepare myself. I'm not ready just yet. I want to, at least start praying and start doing this and start doing that before I come back to the center. But what happened is you so busy falling and falling and falling, you get to the point that what happens, maybe you may die in that state. This is what the shaitan wanted. One of the people that knew who the shaitan was definitely Muslim ibn Aqil. He knew. You could tell the people who knew the shaitan just because of the side they was on. He was on the side of Haq. Whereas the other people, they didn't understand that. This is the reason why they turned their back on Muslim ibn Aqil. Because they allowed the shaitan to come in their mind and they whisper and put that doubt in their heart and made them fear. Because the shaitan will put fear in your heart. He will say, don't worry about it. You have everything lofty and calm and cool. If you go with this person, you're going to lose. This is what the shaitan put in your heart. He will say you will lose. Don't lose nothing. You need to gain. So these people, they turned their back on Muslim because they was afraid that they would lose because the shaitan deceived them. He deceived them. So we see that as Muslim ibn Aqil, he fought up these people until he could not fight no more. And they captured him. And when Ibn Ziyad, may Allah curse him, when he asked, what are your last wishes? What did he say? He said, please sell my armor because I have debt. Make sure that I be buried with all my Islamic rights. And please tell the Imam not to come here. He said, I will do the first one, but I will not do the other two. We see that this Ibn Ziyad was definitely one of the helpers of the shaitan. He was definitely a part of the army of the shaitan. Because how can you deny a Muslim a proper Islamic burial? How can you deny the rights of a person? We know that this has become wajib kifaya upon the believer that once somebody dies, we have to bury them Islamically. We have to give them their rights. But the shaitan and his army don't want to give you your rights. He want to take the rights away from you. This is what the shaitan and his army do. He is an enemy to us. He was an enemy to our father. He was an enemy to our grandfather. He was an enemy to our great-grandfather. He's going to be an enemy to our children and our children's children and so on and so forth. But we have to combat him by letting our children know who he is and who are his helpers. Or if not, we will lose the battle and end up in a place that is so hot that none of us could bear, that will go on for life and forever. So this guy, he tells them to take Muslim ibn Aqil on top of the roof and to throw him off the roof. Can we just imagine this for a moment? How can you do something like this to someone? Only those who are the shaitan helpers can do things like this and have no worry about it, no care, no concern. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Wal as innal insana lafi khusr illa alladhina amanu wa aminu salihati wa tawasaw bil haqqi wa tawasaw bis sabr wa akhiru da'wana walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin wa sallallahu Muhammadin wa alihi tahirin.